What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the CotAcasT. My name is Bermudez, and I'm the host of the Craft of the Air podcast, the aviation podcast that really just expands your knowledge. In each and every episode, join us as we explore the untold world of aviation together. I'm so glad that you guys are tuned in for another episode. And really, in the vast expanse of the aviation landscape, there really lies a segment that is often overshadowed by the glitz and glamour of commercial airlines and the roar of jet engines. And I'm speaking about part 135, cargo operations. And in this episode of the CotAcasT, we pierce the veil of the night skies to uncover the silent heroes and the hidden perils of this critical industry. And, the cargo planes, they crisscross the country under the cover of darkness, and we look into what truths and challenges remain concealed from the public eye. Let's embark on this journey to unravel the untold stories of cargo aviation. First things first, today's episode of the CotAcasT is brought to you by Craft of the Air, stuck on ideas, looking to facilitate advances in aviation maintenance. Consulting by COTA possesses very specific and unique resources that can elevate your aviation projects and tasks to new heights. Get comprehensive advice, detailed reports, and cutting-edge data on innovative solutions that empower you to make confident decisions. Are you an A&P student? Need a refresher? Look no further than CRAM by COTA. Consolidated reviews of aviation maintenance, consolidated tailored courses of your choice, led by a certified A&P subject matter expert. Is going to ensure that you're fully prepared to excel in any aviation maintenance exam. You're going to have to check out COTA with aviation maintenance training, consulting, and aircraft maintenance in the New Jersey, New York, Connecticut tri-state area. COTA is a second you when you need it. Your personal aviation assistant for everything in the field of aviation maintenance. You got to visit www.craftoftheair.com. Again, that's www.craftoftheair.com today and learn everything COTA can do for you. Craft of the Air, our craft is of the air. I'm having some difficulty here with the screens. All right, so there's no editing on this. It's one take every episode. This is the 48th episode, and it's been one take. Find me a YouTube person or a channel that does that, my friend. How many AI special effects and cuts they're going to make before they publish this? This is the real deal, my friend. There's no fakeness here. Ha! All right, so today's episode of the CotAcasT, as I'm still adjusting myself, there was a great article on AIN, and it really highlighted some, a deeper look into Part 135 operations. It was a article titled "The Deeper Look into Part 135 Cargo Accidents," and it shed light. It was a very interesting article. It was by Colleen Mondor, and it is just so true that it is often overshadowed and unspoken about portion of aviation. Cargo operations, they're really the backbone of global commerce. They play a really indispensable role in aviation industry. Cargo operations, they power economies, they connect businesses, and they bridge geographic divides. And these operations are really the silent workhorses of the skies. And yet, despite their immense contribution, their impact often goes unnoticed by the general public. Why is it that such a, the vital sector remains shrouded in mystery? Its stories untold and challenges unacknowledged. It's interesting because a closer look at the statistics reveals startling truths. And one very startling truth, cargo operations accounted for 22% of Part 135 crashes in the lower 48 states. And this is from January 2013 to December 2022. And this figure, it beckons us to delve deeper to uncover the narratives behind the numbers, really to understand the intricacies of this overlooked segment of aviation. You know, while, the major media outlets, frequently report on commercial plane crashes, they often overlook the broader spectrum of commercial aviation. But why is this the case? What's going on here? Is it the lack of public interest, or perhaps something a bit deeper? This term commercial is frequently understood by the general public as large passenger and cargo airlines operating under 14 CFR Part 121, not 135. This understanding, however, it really omits a substantial portion of commercial aviation from the flight safety conversation. Notably, over 2,000 commercial Part 135 operators, especially those specializing in cargo. The Part 135, it's the cargo industry's significance is evident, but it remains inconspicuous to many, even many people studying aviation. Are some of my students listening? Oh. Not my students. My students know the 14 CFRs very well. Oh, yes, they do. You want a lesson on aviation law? Come to my lecture and lab. But it's Part 135. The significance is evident, but it really as I said, remains inconspicuous to many. Most of these operations, when you think about it, they happen during the evening, overnight. And involving single engine, aircrafts, shuttling between smaller airports, primarily when you think about it, when you look at all the states across the United States, we're concentrating here and outside Alaska. So much of this Part 135 has to do with operations outside in Alaska. At the beginning of this, I mentioned the crashes that we have accounted for the lower 48, 22%. Cargo operations accounted for 22% of Part 135 crashes, and this was in the lower 48 states. This outside of Alaska, we'll dive into this. But why are these operations predominantly, nocturnal? These are evening ops occurring on these aircrafts, and is it merely a logistical choice, or are there other factors at play? The nature, when you look at it, the nature of Part 135 cargo operations, it's largely driven upon the demands of modern day supply chains and consumer expectations. With the rise of e-commerce, consumers have essentially grown accustomed to next day or even same day deliveries. And to meet these demands, cargo operations need to function, efficiently overnight, to ensure that these goods are moved from warehouses to distribution centers and finally to the consumer in a timely manner. Operating at night, it also provides logistical advantages, so to say, reduce air traffic, quicker turnaround times, at small airports, and it allows for faster and more efficient operations in some cases. You have to say in some cases, because there are just so many people listening. They're saying, not in my case. The Part 135 operations, being that it takes place in the evening, this has a direct impact on the types of people that are going to come and work on the Part 135 ops. Not every mechanic, not every pilot, not every ground operations specialist, I'm trying to think of a name, or not all of these people are just readily available to work during these types of hours and under these types of demand and situations. Data from the National Transportation Safety Board, the NTSB Aviation Accident Database, paints a very detailed picture. And out of 439 total Part 135 accidents in the United States during a specified period of time, 161 accidents took place in Alaska. And, and again, this is in a specified given period of time. It's irrelevant what period of time it is, but in this given period of time, 439 Part 135 accidents in the United States, and 161 coming from Alaska alone. Now, given Alaska's unique topography, the lack of extensive road systems, you think about the question, why is there such a heavy reliance on these, small commuters and air taxis in Alaska? And it's a very easy question to answer. This is going to be where the bulk of accidents happening, because this is where the bulk of ops are occurring. Operations are occurring in Alaska. As for the heavy reliance upon these smaller commuters and air taxis, reasons are both geographical and infrastructure. Alaska boasts a vast expanse of obviously rugged terrain. And when you think about it, many areas being remote and inaccessible by road, the state's challenging weather exasperating the situations, further complicating the construction and the maintenance of these roads. In such an environment, aviation becomes, not just a convenience, it's a necessity, my friend. Small aircraft, they can access locations that larger aircraft cannot, and making them essential for transporting goods, mail, and passengers to or from these, remote communities. The reliance on aviation combined with the challenging flying conditions, inevitably it leads to a higher number of aviation accidents in that specific region. It's getting hot in here. Excluding Alaska from the NTSB's Part 135 statistics, we have 278 accidents left, right? And as an in-depth examination indicates, 62 of those, roughly 22%, were cargo operators. Now, these accidents spanned, 30 states. And interestingly enough, Texas recorded the highest number. This is for cargo. And companies most involved with these mishaps were Ameriflight and Maritime Air Aviation. What factors is contributing to Texas having the highest number of accidents for cargo ops? And we know the deal with Alaska. There's many things that we can attribute to this for the incidents in Alaska. But when we look at, Texas as a whole, a very vast expanse, and it's not just a hub for cargo operators, but it also boosts a very, you know, topography, climate, poses a unique challenge for aviators. It's not a very small state, you know, very unique challenges. Central location in the United States, Texas makes, a strategic point for distribution and logistics. Hence the high volume of cargo flights. The sheer volume combined with the state's occasional severe weather conditions, thunderstorms, gusty winds, can compound the risks involved with aviation. And, moreover, Texas is home to many major industries, which is going to increase that demand for cargo services. Yeah, these companies like Amerifly and Maritime Aviation, having strong operational bases in the state, may naturally see a higher number of incidents purely based on the volume of their operations. Now, moving forward in this, the Cessna Caravan, the Cessna Caravan, was it emerged as a popular choice for the Part 135 cargo operators, right? I'm smiling. David, you listening? The Cessna Caravan, very popular choice for Part 135 operators. But, accidents weren't just limited to this model. So many accidents attributed to that Cessna Caravan, but not so much just the 135. The Cessna Caravan. 135 operations is usually connected to the Cessna Caravan, right? But we saw incidents with other aircrafts, like the Beech 99s, the Fairchild Metroliners, the Beech 900s. They were also found their way into these statistics, these unfortunate accident statistics. And interestingly, the vast majority of these accidents were single pilot operations with co-pilots present in only few scenarios. Does this prevalence of single pilot operations indicate a potential vulnerability in the system? When we shift our focus to the aircraft involved, the Cessna Caravan, the others like the Beech 99s, the Fairchild Metroliners, are favored. And they're favored really, they're so common in Part 135 operations because of their versatility and efficiency, especially for the short haul flights. Their popularity also means that they're more prevalent to accident statistics, naturally, because there's more operating out there because there's more sold. The fact that most of these operations or a single pilot could attribute to these accidents. Single pilot operation is certainly cost-saving measures, to that aircraft design. And, which a lot of these single pilot designs, they're offered, often centered around these types of aircraft. This approach does potentially bring up concerns about the workload, and especially during adverse conditions. Single pilot operations can be taxing, while the pilot is juggling multiple tasks from navigation, comm systems, even cargo management, without the co-pilot having to share, responsibilities. So really, potentially highlighting really the vulnerability that needs addressing, and there's so much that can go into it. There's so many reasons for these accidents, from pilots miscalculating fuel loads to, forgetting, to deploy the landing gear, even suffering partial disorientation. The causes are diverse. However, the pilot error appears to be, a reoccurring theme. I hate to say it. These raised valid concerns about the adequacy, really, of the training, scheduling, maintenance in the industry, and these are systematic issues within the industry that must be addressed. Diving into the reasons behind these accidents, various factors, come into play, obviously, but indeed, while the nature of these accidents they vary, the reoccurring theme is pilot error. And diving deeper into these systematic challenges, it's not just about the individual's lapse in judgment, but possibly indicative of a larger issue. In the ecosystem of Part 135 operations. The consistent patterns suggest to potential gaps in pilot training, or perhaps an overwhelming workload leading to fatigue and errors. I hate to say it. I'll get to the facts in just a second. For the pilots listening who were calling me out already. Additionally, the pressures to meet the tight schedules can sometimes lead to rush pre-flight checks or decisions to fly in less ideal conditions. And look, shift it over to me for maintenance practices too. They need scrutiny. Aircraft being serviced and checked as rigorously as they should be. The industry, while striving for efficiency, must not, compromise on safety. Not there are we cutting corners. Is it imperative to reevaluate and fortify, training programs, ensure sensible scheduling, uphold stringent maintenance standards to mitigate these risks. Looking at just a couple of specific incidents, of examples, of highlights of, it really highlights the gravity of the situation. Looking at it back in 2013, an incident unfolded with a Cessna Caravan pilot. And this was interesting. This was a pilot that was affiliated with Martin Air and met with an accident. Even this was a pilot that had a substantial amount of flight time, 2,000 flight hours of flight experience under his belt. And tragically, he crashed shortly after takeoff, succumbing to spatial disorientation. Is these types of incidents, such occurrences like this, that underscore the complex challenges and the unforeseen, risks that even seasoned pilots may face in the realm of aviation. Another incident in October 2015 was a Cessna 210, and it ran out of fuel close to its destination. And the pilot, amidst a high workload, he failed to switch the fuel tanks and manage the fuel properly. Are there measures in place to ensure pilots can manage these, high workloads effectively? The concerning the event from this Cessna 210 nearing the destination, it runs out of fuel. Amid the intense, pressure of this pilot's duties, the pilot overlooked this, just simply switching the fuel tanks and ensuring the proper fuel management. Again, it's these types of incidents that are emphasizing the imperative need for, comprehensive training protocols and fail-safe mechanisms to aid pilots. To aid pilots in effectively managing high workloads and minimizing oversights. Really getting on their case today about it. There's a concerning incident back in June 2020, and this one involved the Mitsubishi's MU-2, a pilot who lost his life right after takeoff. The NTSB found that had he been on duty for approximately 19 hours leading up to the accident, maybe there would not have been an accident. You know, are there sufficient regulations in place governing, pilot working hours and rest periods? You know, this pilot was on duty for 19 hours straight leading up to this tragic crash. Look, these incidents, all of them emphasize really a need for comprehensive reviews of operational protocols, safety measures within the industry. And it really underscores the importance of understanding this relationship between aircraft operators and its freight companies that they work for. It's currently unclear how these relationships, whether it's giants like FedEx or UPS or others, might potentially influence, the operational dynamics and safety standards of the, involved carriers, so to say. But, how can the industry ensure transparency and accountability in these types of partnerships and these potential partnerships? Building on this, really, it's paramount to consider the intricate web of partnerships and associations within the aviation sector. The major players like FedEx, UPS, undoubtedly, they set certain industry standards, but their collaboration, really, with smaller aircraft operators, that can really create a varied operational dynamics. The synergy between these giants and their partners is crucial, and not just for business efficiency, but really for maintaining impeccable safety standards. Implementing regular audits, transparent communication channels, mutual agreed safety benchmarks. This can foster a culture of accountability and trust, really, which is what's needed. That's going to ensure that safety never took a backseat. As the aviation industry continues to evolve, a deeper understanding and scrutiny of Part 135 cargo operator accidents are paramount to ensuring the safety of all involved. And, as we descend from this exploration of Part 135 cargo operators, it is very evident that the night silent carriers, with its tale of velour risks and lessons, comes from the Part 135 operators, the dedication of the countless pilots, the intricacies of the aircraft they command, and the ever-present challenges they face deserve more recognition. So much more recognition than they already have. And as the dawn breaks, let's carry forward this renewed appreciation for these unsung heroes. That about wraps it up for this episode of the CotAcasT. If you have not done so already, you're going to have to check out that Craft of the Air website. Visit www.craftoftheair.com and get your free initial consultation. Craft of the Air, our craft is of the air. Comments or suggestions about this or future episodes, let's get in touch. Visit that Craft of the Air website at www.craftoftheair.com and get your free initial consultation today. Craft of the Air, our craft is of the air. Thanks again for listening to today's episode of the CotAcasT. Be sure to follow and subscribe to the Craft of the Air Instagram, Twitter, YouTube channel for the latest CotAcasT and Craft of the Air updates. Please rate and review the CotAcasT. We're now streaming on Spotify, Apple, Prime, Pandora, Google Podcasts, you name it. You're going to have to just recommend this to every single person you know in aviation. Thanks again for listening to today's episode of the CotAcasT. I hope you guys have a great day. Be safe, and we'll be seeing you soon.